Thank you for your interest in the Retained Recruiter show powered by iIntro. Before the show starts, I have a small favour to ask of you. Our goal is to provide you with the most insightful, helpful and practical recruitment knowledge and know-how from the best in the recruitment industry. If you like this channel and enjoy watching our content, hit the subscribe button to get notified as soon as we upload a new episode. Thank you again, and as ever, we're rooting for your success. Now, time for the show. Hello and welcome to the Retained Recruiter show. My name is James.
And my name is Jo, and thank you for joining us here for our 90th, goodness gracious, 90th show, James. Who'd have thought it?
That's pretty impressive. And, we don't run this weekly, it's every other week. So we've been doing this for some considerable time. And one of the things we're talking about today is actually we're sharing some of our best pieces for you. So we've gone back through the archives today, and we're going to run through some of the really important guests that we've had on and how they've shared some fantastic information about how their journey has helped them move and transition from transactional to consultative. And as we start looking forward now into 2026, all of the signs are that's the way that you've got to go. There's so much talk about AI and AI, plus human equals success. So it's still the human element of it. And we need to bring that part into it. So what thoughts have you got, Jo, before we jump into our first guests?
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of our shows have, we do have guests on. Some of the shows, we've done quite a few episodes. They're all available on YouTube if anyone wants to go and watch them. We've done loads of episodes, obviously, around the subject of retainers, securing retainers, differentiating yourself, planning your business development, etc. Yourself and I, James, have done those. But actually, these are 5 of the shows that we've picked. That these are our clients at iIntro who own their own recruitment businesses and who have gone out and actually done this for themselves. So we thought, don't listen to us, just this week only. Don't listen to us, but let's get it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So the first couple that we're going to bring on, and the first recording that we want to show you is actually business partners of Premier Consulting. So this is Paige and James from Premier Consulting. And they share their inside story on how they went from 0 retainers to 5 retained assignments, and they've actually got no prior retained experience, so their whole business was contingent. So if you've ever wondered what it takes to break away from a traditional contingent model, any kind of reservations you've got, real challenges, but they're also going to share a little bit about that, but also the wins, and how they found their journey. So this episode is it's massively packed with practical strategies and real world results. So let's listen to them. Let's hear their journey and their top tips for agencies who are looking to make the leap.
From just providing a CV to actually now providing all of this, we added value in inverted commas. What do you mean by that? The key competency assessment, the video assessment, the behavioural assessment, all of those elements. It's very difficult for clients to say, no, I don't want to pay more. But that's a bit people sometimes struggle with, I think.
Most definitely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Paige, you said a bit earlier on, and just to bring it back to this, that when you're talking to your clients, it's about the assurances that you can give them as well. Which again, as recruiters, I think it's that we have a very short-sighted process in recruitment. I.e., we focus on we will send you some CVs. We'll focus on we'll send you some people to interview. We don't really think about the long-term effect or benefit of what our process can do for a client. I.e., enable their growth through the recruitment and retention of top talent. So talk us through what you mean by sort of assurances that you can give your clients.
So by pitching for the higher fees, the client's actually getting something back in return as well, because you're giving them assurances of up to 12 to 24 months. If the candidate doesn't work out, well, guess what? You'll find them somebody else. And I think it's really, one of the clients that we're actually working with at the moment, their retention rate was absolutely really, really poor.
40%, yeah.
Yeah, wow. They reached out to us, and I just think it's that added sort of confidence with the client that you're not going to run a mile. If the candidate doesn't work out, you're there for the long game, basically. So we found that's really, really helped us.
I think there's a difference there as well, isn't there? So you're saying to the 12 to 24 month, that's a replacement. So that's a free replacement, which again is getting away from this traditional 3-month rebate where, you know, if the person leaves or is asked to leave in month 2.5, you're going to get 10% of your feedback, which from a client's point of view, that doesn't work for them, does it really?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, it's what you can offer. A client's not going to know within 8 to 12 weeks whether a candidate is right or not. You know, they're only coming up to, you know, a probation period. They're just simply not going to know, because for the first initial period, hopefully the candidate would be putting in as much effort as they can anyway, you know, and then that's where the behavioural bit comes in, because they will naturally show their
true colours after about 3 months.
Yeah.
That's
3 months
true.
and 1 day.
That's very true. Yeah. So talk us through that. We've talked a little bit about behavioural assessment, and I know this is really important because a lot of recruiters, again, you know, play devil's advocate and say, look, how can you give a 12-month free replacement if you don't know whether these people are going to work out? But therein lies another brilliance in that you do know these people are going to work out, don't you? So tell us a bit about what you've been putting in place that's different from a like a psychometric and a behavioural assessment point of view with your candidates and clients.
Well, the candidates are really on board with it. You know, I think because we do the profiling right at the start of the recruitment process, not at the end of the process like a lot of clients do. I don't understand that, but there you go. I personally think now that the candidates got confidence, you know, they want to go to the interview because they know they're a match for the role.
Yeah.
They're confident. They're more confident when they go to the interviews. And you know, they've really bought into it, and the client is also comfortable because they've looked at the psychometric profile, they've marked the candidate themselves, they now are excited to physically meet this candidate. So the relationship's already sort of built before the client and candidate have even met, if that makes sense. So it really streamlined our recruitment process and then some.
And I think one of the things you touched on earlier is about, you know, with the candidate relationship, you know, and actually the value that you offer candidates now as well. So it's not, you know, the 3 parts to a relationship when you're running a recruitment business. Obviously you, the recruiter, the client, the employer, and also the candidate. Well, that little excerpt is just a small part of a much longer episode, and you'll find the links to the full session actually available in the links below coming up there. And really, you know, what I'd like to say is what an inspirational journey from James and Paige. Their story, I mean, that still shows how stepping outside your comfort zone, despite the reservations that we all have, you know, how it can deliver impressive business outcomes. And if you can sort of take that to heart and focus on strategy, strong support, and a willingness to be different, they've also demonstrated, you can see how they've demonstrated that transitioning to retained recruitment is both achievable and highly rewarding. Their top tips will certainly help any agency considering the move. So I urge you to watch the full show. The link is down there in the comments. So I hope you enjoyed that first excerpt. What we want to do now is share with you a second excerpt from 2 of our clients who work for a larger recruitment business who adopted our practices. And what they've done, James Sperling and Matt Roach from Carbon 60, if you watch this little excerpt, they'll reveal how they've changed their approach to winning recruitment business and how they generated over £1 million in just 2 years. And the way they did that is, and it's a hot topic right now. It wasn't just about pieces of spot business. It was about running projects, retained projects of multi-role assignments. And so for them to go and adopt that and put that into the business, they had to sort of have a look at what they need to do differently. So they discovered the mindset shift. They implemented tactical pivots as well as business planning that powered their transformation. So listen into this excerpt as they unpack how focusing on retained solutions set them apart in an extremely competitive market.
You just talk us through how you kind of went from decision of, yes, we need to transition into retained, to actually practically implementing it into your business.
Yeah, it was scary to begin with. I mean, we myself and James did the training with James O'Brien, and like most things, you get off the corner and within 10 minutes you're distracted doing something else, and you know, a lot of it goes out. And I'll be honest, I probably parked it for 8 weeks, and it was only when James said to me, "Look, we've got this on board. We're paying for it. We need to use it." But one thing I would say is it's the learning process is tough. And I mean, I went through a 2-month period where at 3 o'clock every afternoon, I would just pitch to James and pitch until I found my flow. And then once we had that confidence, we then went and spoke to existing customers because it was slightly warmer. They knew us, and then that landed really well. It was something different that they'd not seen before.
Yeah, and surprisingly, you'd probably imagine that it was easier getting converting existing business into retained. Actually, that wasn't our experience. Although we did have some easy wins in the early days on some more problematic roles, which is typically where you are pointed to, because most customers want you to deal with the hard to fill stuff before they give you the easy bread and butter stuff. So that's been our experience. But equally at the same time, if a customer sees you're able to provide the same service without the retained or the part payment or the staged invoicing, traditionally they struggle to get that journey or transition into that journey of paying for your service up front. So we had a really good start to it. A little bit of a slight conversion with the existing business, but primarily most of our wins have come from new customers, actually.
Yeah, one thing I would say, Joe, just to caveat that, is I think it's really important. You can't have a consultant that's going to dip in and out of this, do a bit of contingent. You have to. I lived, ate, slept, and breathed this for months on end, and I was fortunate that James allowed me the time to get up and running with it. And then when the wins came, they came big.
Yeah.
I think again, I just want to sort of congratulate you, Matt, and you as well, James, for sort of working together on this, because it is that perseverance. It's interesting what you said, and it's I hope people listen to this. It wasn't easy. This is, you're changing the way you're doing things, and it's so easy. We see this. It's very easy for someone to slip back because the path of least resistance say, "Oh, I'll just keep on doing what I'm doing. I'm doing okay." But because you'd actually analysed how much money you could have had, going back to Joe's coulda, shoulda, woulda type scenario, I think maybe that was part of the motivation that helped you. But hats off to you for going through it. And again, the other important thing that I heard you say that is living and breathing it, but actually every day at 3 o'clock practicing it until you get into your flow. And then what happens, it becomes second nature. And what we start to see, and I think this is true for you guys as well, it starts to become part of your DNA.
Yeah.
This is what we do. Yeah. So there's no point in me going backwards and actually offering, downselling a service. I've actually got a service I truly believe in. And it's interesting. Mark Clinch has put up a question. I don't know whether you guys have seen it on screen, because I'm not sure whether you're on a phone or what. It says, what part of the proposition do clients value the most?
That's a great question.
Thanks, Mark.
A couple, I think.
Yeah, I think first and foremost is the fact that I mean, James, you'll know this. During the training, one of the first questions that you ask the customer when you're qualifying the role, when was the last time you changed your supply chain processes or your manufacturing processes? And the answer is generally, yeah, we're always looking at continuous improvement. Ask them when the last time they changed their recruitment process. They haven't. They've been receiving CVs for 20 years. So first and foremost, you'll give them something different. It's a three-way interactive process, because I think what happens with some contingent, you're doing lots of really good work behind the scenes, but because it's productized, if that's the word, they don't see the work. It's not tangible. It's not real. They just see the inbox, and you're the same as everyone else.
Yeah.
So game changer. And obviously the McQuaid profile. I mean, we've got customers that absolutely use it as part of their interview process. They take the suggestions.
Well, there we go. That was great. So the whole show is a 30-minute show, and you can find that over on YouTube. And I'm sure you'll agree if you just watched that very, very small extract from the conversation that we had, that James and Matt's experience really illustrates the difference that a focused, retained approach can make. Not only in revenues, but also in team culture, and also, really importantly, in those client relationships that they've been building as well. By embracing change, prioritizing long-term value over those, sort of knee-jerk short-term wins that we sometimes look for, they've proved that the sustained results from retained business and from that project work can really help to transform your business's trajectory.
Excellent, Joe. I mean, it's great to have seen James and Matt there as well. Listening to it again, it brings back some great memories. Why don't you introduce our next guest for us?
Sure. So our next guest, we've only had him on once, although for some reason in my brain I keep thinking that we've had him on twice. But this is a wonderful guy called James Pickering, owns a business called Vision Executives in Leeds. And James joined us quite a few months ago now. I think it was very close to the beginning of the relationship that we had with him. And we asked him to come on to discuss the roadmap to achieving 25% retained recruiter fees. So this episode is a must listen for anyone who wants to not only win more retainers, but also push up your average fee. And at the same time, really, really focus on becoming a trusted talent partner. So in this excerpt, James shares how he made the shift, the measurable impact that that's had on his business so far, and actionable insights for recruiters.
So we talk about retain because what it does is it helps show the client where the value proposition is, and more importantly, what it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
The amount of those 26 steps, you're actually visualizing. And what we say to this is we've productized the recruitment process with iIntro. That's what we're really doing. We're helping employers actually see the value that recruiters deliver. And all we do is we help recruiters, James, like you, go from doing what you already do, but actually making it more visual. And for most people, they eat with their eyes. So therefore, it makes it easy for them when you actually can say, this is what I charge. This is why you need to retain me in 3 stages and take it on from there.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you a question, James? So well, yeah, again, I know through training we talk about, and it's one of the objectives a lot of people have, I want to increase my fees. And so it's great that you've gone from charging 15%, albeit on retainer, which is congratulations on that one. How did you feel taking that step? Was there a lump in your throat when you started thinking about asking for 25%?
Perhaps, yeah. Maybe a little bit, but I think through the training that to be honest, Joe's done, there is definitely a mindset change in there. And I think just to talk about one particular experience, it kind of links to what you were saying before. Having been let down so many times, by clients, and not even with the clients having bad intentions. For example, there was one situation last year. I was working on a big role for a client. It was success only. And one day on the Monday, the hiring manager said, yes, we want to make this candidate an offer. And between the Monday and the Friday, a new HR director came in and the role was cut just like that. So even with the best intentions of the people you're working with, the clients, businesses change fast, and they can let recruiters down whether they want to or not. It's not always their intention to do that, but that doesn't save the recruiter from having wasted days and days of work. You know what I mean? So being a small business, that was really time that we couldn't afford to lose. Time is money, and when there's only, when I started out, it was only me doing the recruitment. So when after going through all that, I almost felt as if asking for the 25% for all the rubbish that I've been through in the past with contingent recruiting, actually felt like we was actually getting a little bit of what we deserved after what the stuff we've been through in the past. So there was definitely a mindset change, and now I'll quite happily say, I mean, I still wouldn't necessarily go in straight away, always at 30%, but I have done recently, and it's worked as well then. So yeah.
It's a huge thing, I think, with the mindset. We talk a lot about fee defense. We talk a lot about fee negotiation, not just in the training, but with all the clients. And actually, fee negotiation really starts with fee defense, doesn't it? Being able to defend your fee before you even get to the stage where you need to negotiate. So prevention rather than cure, or dealing, trying to treat the symptoms once it's happened. But the mindset, I think, doesn't just start with the client, because let's face it, clients have been conditioned to believe that a transactional contingent service is normal. It's not optimal, but it's normal. But also, I think as recruiters, we've had that as well. So going from 15% to 25%, there's got to be 10 justifiable differentiators, even for you as a recruiter. And so do you think that I mean, I know now you present with confidence to clients. Do you think having the platform, and we don't really go into detail when we do these sessions, but all of the different elements that allow you to have 96% retention, that allow you to give your clients a 12-month free replacement, do you think each of those things helps you to believe, I think, as a recruiter, that you're worth more money?
100%. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's differentiating yourself as well from contingent recruitment. It's taking it to the next level. I wouldn't even, consider myself to be a fantastic pitcher. If we can even call pitching with iIntro, if you can even call it a pitch, like we say, it's much more of a demonstration. But yeah, I think the tools are there, and it's obviously up to you to utilize the tools. You know, some of the features and whatnot, you know, don't even necessarily go into and don't remember to, you know, that you don't have to go through absolutely everything. But I think as long as you demonstrate the value in what you're doing, where you can add value to the process and how it all works together, then it does create this image of a real thorough recruitment process. And that's what we want to achieve.
Great. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching that. And again, please do watch the full episode that you can get from the link down below. What James has done is he's given us a clear roadmap for driving up retained fees and increasing and improving and highlighting the recruiter-client partnership, which is critical in his industry. The practical steps he shared underline exactly how you can consider making the same journey, making the same leap. It's about setting ambitious targets, turning vision into measurable commercial growth, and it's a valuable blueprint for anybody who's serious about scaling their retained offering and helping you, differentiate yourself in a very crowded marketplace and get rewarded for it at fee levels that you'll really enjoy. If you do want a copy of a roadmap, actually, if you look at the link that's going to be showing up on screen right now, or copy down in the comments down below, we actually can share with you a practical roadmap and also get in touch with us, and we'll sort of share some more with you about how we do it. So I hope you enjoyed that particular piece from James. Fascinating. Thanks very much for coming on board, James.
Yeah, no, really, really good. And hopefully we can get James on again in the not too distant future. Maybe for our 100th show, you never know, which will be sort of about February next year. Okay, let's go on to number 4. So, and these are in no particular order, by the way, like a league table. So the 4th video that we want to show you today is with one of our long-time clients, a really, really great organization called Mercury Hampton, again, based up north. There's a trend developing there, I think. So we invited Chris Hickey, who is the MD and co-founder of Mercury Hampton, on to have a chat with us. Now, Chris has actually been on with us twice, but in this particular video, we asked him to come on and talk to us because they've had huge success in transitioning over to a retained model. So in this particular video, Chris details the pitching strategies that's helped his firm win the business and experience rapid expansion. With multi-sector experience in executive search and a proven track record, Chris walks us through how to pitch for meetings, how to handle client objections, and close on more retained assignments. So in this video as well, one of the things that you'll also do, because he's a very practical guy, Chris, is gain actionable techniques straight from him. So straight from a 7-figure recruitment entrepreneur. So let's have a look at the video with Chris.
Yeah, the structure is important, and it's part of the, I suppose it's part of the process and part of the journey of working with our intro. I think, for us people who've been in it for sort of 10, 15, 20 years, you've got a structure that probably works for you already, but we're all able to take it to another level. We're all able to develop ourselves, and being open to development is key to turning a business from primarily a contingency model into a retained model. We were in a situation where we were selling retained search before the iIntro partnership, but scaling that was quite challenging because we didn't have a blueprint, and going down the route of recruiting less experienced people and imparting 15, 20 years worth of knowledge on those people so they've got the confidence to sell that is quite challenging. So getting to a stage where the structure was, I suppose, embedded in their brain did take a bit of time, but that comes back to the cultural bit as well. So they sort of intertwine to each other. If you've got a culture of high performance and a really rigid methodology whereby you want to encourage people to value their time and not give their time away for nothing, then a retained model, is certainly the best way of moving forward. But we've got this to a stage now where our process is so embedded, not necessarily just in the people, but the culture of working here. So they celebrate retainers in the same way they would celebrate a deal. We last month we got, the last 4 weeks we've done 24 retainers.
Wow.
So it's phenomenal. So, but that's all down to getting the right process, the right structures in place, which obviously you guys have helped us with over the last couple of years.
I think that's really important, particularly around a blueprint. I mean,
all of us now, we've been in this game for a long time, and a lot of recruitment businesses always talk about it being instinctive, but actually instinct is very rarely replicable or scalable, because you don't have the formula or the recipe or the blueprint to follow. So I think that idea of sustainability and creating a blueprint for your business is really important. Are there any particular things that sort of stand out to you, Chris, that make your business more effective when it comes to kind of pitching for retainers and winning retainers?
Yeah, I think the process which we've tried to implement, or which we have implemented by the training with our intros, obviously helped. Some of us we come from retained search backgrounds, and we've got our own methodology to pull into it. I think the biggest tip I can give anyone with this is an educational piece. If you hard sell this, you're not going to sell it. You don't have to hard sell it. If you start hard selling it like 1990s, 1980s style, they're going to know that you're hard selling it. So my approach to this is I take the clients through an educational map. I get them to understand where they're at, why it's not working, and why their behaviours are influencing behaviours within the recruitment companies as well. Once someone's selected on a contingency basis, the job's not a priority. It gets worked on after 3 o'clock, and it becomes a risk to the finish line, and the quality is compromised. But then the client will then get frustrated that they're not getting the quality. Well, it's because you haven't selected a quality process in the first place. So you can't have both. And I say a lot of things to companies that probably other people are probably too scared to say. Right? I literally address the elephant in the room, tell them how our industry behaves, how their actions are going to influence my behavior. And I've got all of my guys to sell that way, and it's been a game changer.
I think, Chris, so when you see, you talk about the fact you've got 15 years or more recruitment experience, and at a search level as well.
Yeah.
From your perspective, you see that, I think people listening say, well, yeah, that's you, Chris. How do you get that further down the team? Because you're a very charismatic individual, you're very confident, and you're able to say that educational piece to help educate the client is a strength. But how do you do that with, you said you brought on board lesser skilled people. How do you help them have that confidence to pitch that way too? What tools are you enabling with to do that?
We've got a very, very robust onboarding process, which is pre-recorded and digitized. So when everyone joins, they go for a 4-week onboarding process, which is exactly the same. So every single person watches the same onboarding, then they have the same coaching. Then we plug the iIntro training that you guys offer into that as well. So every single person goes through the same process. But also on the first couple of pitches, they're partnered with someone who's experienced. So they're ultimately mirroring, copying, and that's how we all learn recruitment or sales, is through just mirroring people, copying the people who are good, and choosing the things we liked, not using the things maybe that wouldn't work so well for our personality types. And that's what we've done. So when people join the business, we I don't want to say brainwash them, because that sounds a bit autocratic, but we get to a stage whereby we're implementing this process very early when people are joining.
Wow, I get so inspired every time I see Chris, and actually was face to face with him just a couple of weeks ago. So it was great to see him recently. But Chris's advice on pitching, positioning, and closing retained assignments is full of actionable value, as Joe mentioned earlier. His experience confirms that with the right approach and confidence, even big client objection can be overcome. And what this does, it puts your agency on track for long-term retained success. So if you're looking to perfect your pitch, those insights should be invaluable. As Joe mentioned, Chris has grown fabulously since working with us. Not only is he based in the northwest of England, they've recently, in the last year or so, opened up an office in Texas, and I know next year he's opening up in the Middle East. So congratulations to Chris and all of the team at Mercury Hampton. They're fantastic recruiters, and we absolutely love working with them.
Absolutely. Right, so from one Chris to another, our final video for today, so the fifth and final video, is with again a really long-standing client of ours, a brilliant guy called Chris Dickinson. So he's co-founder of an organization called the Advocate Group, which is based in Manchester. Chris has been on once, but again, I feel like Chris has bin on a couple of times, and if not, we need to get him back on. So Chris's business, the Advocate Group, has been with us for a while and is a real example of how you can embrace the retained model and take it out there, not just to transition over to retained, but then to start building real solutions for client partners, become partners with your client organizations as opposed to just transactional agency recruiters. So in this video, Chris breaks down how to win six-figure exclusive recruitment contracts. If you're looking for systems, negotiation tactics, value building steps to land exclusive deals, then this episode will really help to deliver that. Chris has got a wealth of knowledge in recruitment, and he shares his own experiences in this video. He talks about the processes that they've built within the organization that help to build these lasting client partnerships. So attracting, engaging, securing, and then retaining long-lasting client partnerships. And he also talks quite a bit on this video about advice that he would give on how to stand out in a retained marketplace. So let's have a look at Chris in action. That's good. And you know what I think is really valuable about training? Obviously, the fact that myself and James were stood there, that's incredibly valuable. But actually, it was a good opportunity for you all to sit down in a room, which I know you do frequently anyway, and talk as a team, you know, about how is this working in the market? How are we implementing it? What's working? What isn't? What could we tweak? So I think that, because the market does evolve, doesn't it? And I think our value proposition and the way that we angle ourselves with clients, that has to evolve as well.
Absolutely,
it does. We really enjoyed spending time with you. I've got a final question, if I may, because we get a lot of the people that watch these videos, and they are available on YouTube, by the way. We don't have a channel, but we've got a library, which I think is quite fancy. There's over 30 of these in there. But the feedback that we get is that people are maybe just starting out or have their own recruitment business that is contingent and want to make that leap into higher fee, exclusive and or retained business, just don't know how to do it. The feedback that we get is that they really like listening to these kinds of these discussions that we have. So if we had people listening today, maybe who have their own businesses and they're pretty much all contingent, but they've said and they really want to start making the move, what would you advise them to do? What would you recommend them to do as the first stuff they should put in place, really?
Well, I think to make that sort of transition, firstly, to make a business transition like that, you need to have something that's going to be the linchpin of it. And this could be a great tool for that. I think the two things. So initially, years ago, like both myself, my business partner, and an associate director of that, we led all demos. So we basically put it out there saying, right, guys, let's get a bit of a script going, some questions on how can we get clients to the table from a demonstration perspective. So we learned how to tease people enough to get them onto a demo, and then just mastered the delivery of that demo, walking people through I'm gonna give my whole script away. No, I'm joking. But you've got to start with the recruitment process. If you're uncovering the recruitment process that business goes through, how do you do this? How do you do that? How long does that take? How often does this happen? How often does that? If you've got that piece, then ultimately you're pulling out all the challenges to be able to then deliver the demo. Then you'll find it's just so seamless then. And even though we are now in a video, because I suppose that's interesting to talk about, the fact that we've made this transition from no one uses video to now we're all flipping anchor men and women constantly. So now that transition's happened, people are obviously far more comfortable on video. So, but I think that's a great thing. And I think that adds more value to not devalues the platform, because there are other, you can jump on Teams. It's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same. So yeah, I think they would, you learn the systematic challenges to contingent. You learn the questions to ask to uncover process, the way that the client does something now, and ultimately largely the pain point questions, and then master the delivery of the demo, which I'm assuming that's where you guys come through.
Yeah, it is really, because I think it's interesting though, when you talk about demo, people probably listen saying, well, what do you mean? Because as a recruiter,
I'm talking
as a recruiter who sells contingent recruitment, what are you talking about? What is a demo? And that's the whole thing here. What we've helped hundreds of companies do is productize their recruitment process, because you've got to have that process. And the demo that you talk about, many people, is that a PowerPoint presentation? No, this is a visualization of how you deliver your methodology to your clients, the employers, that helps them make more informed hiring decisions. And that's the difference I think you make. And obviously when you take it on board and you internalize it, as you have done at Advocate Group, you're then able to sort of grow your business, and it's just second nature. It's just part of what you do. It's part of the business. Your teams are coming in and joining you. They're seeing you. This is sort of some of the feedback we've seen from your team. Yeah, they like working with you because you've got something that's different. We're not like every other recruitment company. And listen,
yeah, definitely.
In the UK,
well, it's probably worth mentioning, James. And based on your question, Joe, a great place to start if you're already a recruiter and you've already a client base. I mean, we did it, as soon as we got it, and we do it now. Like sometimes there'll be scenarios where something happens and we are 95% exclusive. There's the odd bit of contingent, but good quality contingent, maybe against one other on a high value PSL, but largely it's exclusive with probably 50% of that retained. Yeah. So, but I think it's important that people understand that it's got multiple, facets to what you can, how you can take it to market and the different solutions that can come off the back of it.
Yeah, it was a real pleasure to see Chris again. And like I say, Joe, it feels like we've met him a couple of times. Actually, Chris was there when we launched the Retained Recruiter Academy back in 2019. He was actually at the live launch. So he was sat on our panel then. And Chris is actually client number one. He was the very first client of iIntro way back when. So delighted to have worked with Chris over that time. But what Chris shared with you on that video, he gave you a walkthrough of winning exclusive six-figure contracts. And again, there's a lot of emphasis nowadays on actually putting together project or contract-based work in terms of which builds value into business. And it highlights just how transformational retained recruitment can be. Now, what Chris emphasized in there is things like systematization, client partnerships, and negotiation expertise. And what that does, it provides a solid foundation for any recruiter or recruitment business aiming to secure and deliver top-tier exclusive deals. If you want to play at a high level, those lessons are well worth you reflecting on. So what we've given you there is a selection of 5 excerpts of videos that we've put together. We've curated them. It's probably worth you at some point watching the whole episodes, but we're just trying to give you a little snippet of the value that we're trying to bring for you on the Retained Recruiter Show. We do value the fact that you put some time aside to help educate yourself, inform yourself of what's changing in the market. And our commitment is to continue to do that as we move forward. So, it's been great sharing those with you today. What are your thoughts, Joe?
Absolutely. So we've done a show like this previously where we've highlighted 5. We've done this show where we've highlighted another 5. We will have all these guys back on, and I'm sure. But do go and check out all of our other videos. There's 90 on there. Some are 30 minutes, 45, some are even 60 minutes long. There's a whole array of content on there, and all of it is free and completely accessible to anybody, really. Not just if you're thinking of transitioning over to Retain, but differentiation of service, fee defense, value propositioning, client meetings, BD, this candidate generation. There's all sorts in there, social media, marketing. So a whole library of content designed to help you guys as much as possible.
Yep. So please get over there, have a look at those. And as I say, if we can help you as you decide how you want to grow your business as you move into 2026, the link's below to contact us, have a consultation with us. We love to share information with people, our thoughts, hear your thoughts. We know that 2025 has been an interesting year, and I say that with positivity in terms of lots of interesting things happening. And obviously, we've been at the forefront of that as well. So we'd love to help you if you're looking at transitioning or transforming your business as we move into 2026. So it's goodbye from me,
and it's goodbye from me. Thanks, everybody.
Look forward to seeing you again. Bye bye.